Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Chainlink and primarily its valuation against Bitcoin. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we've been following Link for a while. We've been looking at this Link Bitcoin valuation. This is in Satoshi, so it says Link Bitcoin, but it's multiplied by 100 million. Because there's 100 million sats in it in one Bitcoin. So this shows the valuation against Bitcoin versus days since inception. So you can see that Link's been around for approximately 1100 days, and it has been moving up quite substantially against Bitcoin. And it might appear on the just looking at it on a linear scale that this has been the most major move and that it dwarfs everything else that has come before it. That's actually not true because, as we know, linear scales have a way to hide what's really going on. But one of the things we do want to talk about is the fact that we were doing an updated video. We've shown this many times in the past, but I like to give you guys updates. Link, as I've said before, typically on the channel we talk about Link in terms of, you can swing trade it back and forth to Bitcoin. So instead of thinking of it in terms of increasing your Bitcoin, you can think about it in terms of how do you increase the amount of Link you have. And I would argue that it tends to go through pretty predictable bubbles against Bitcoin, historically speaking. And one of the things we did was we fit the Link Bitcoin data to just, we picked out the non-bubble data and fit that and got this exponential fit. Now, again, we know that Link will not go up exponentially against Bitcoin forever. All good things must come to an end at some point, but we sure as hell are going to follow this move until it stops giving back to us. We said this last year, got a lot of people skeptical that it was useful. However, you can see that we did come back down to this band and then straight back up. Okay, and then back down. And we're back at the same spot we've been in several times. Now, if we add a tolerance band, we get more of a window rather than just like a brief moment in time where it's theoretically on the quote-unquote fair value of Link against Bitcoin. So if we put on, let's say, a tolerance band, we get this, but as you guys know, it's better to look at things on a logarithmic scale. That way you can see the magnitude of prior bubbles, and you can see that this one is more or less just par for the course, right? It doesn't stand out necessarily in any particular way. It's more or less the same type of bubbles that we've seen before. It does tower over some of the short-term bubbles. However, it is pretty much on par with the two major bubbles that we've seen for Link against Bitcoin, one being all the way back in 2017, 2018, and then the other one being, a couple years ago or so. So here we are back on our fair value exponential fit of Link against Bitcoin. And now the question obviously becomes, well, are we going to go back into another bubble against Bitcoin? And I think there's a good chance we do, but we also must look at what's happened in the past. We don't necessarily just come in and immediately pop back out, right? I mean, sometimes we go sideways for a while, and by sideways I mean sort of going up. You can see, generally speaking, when we're down in this band, a lot of times we're just, we can go down. Sometimes we've gone below it, but generally we're increasing, right? Here we're generally increasing as we traverse this band each time. And so now we're here. If we do just slowly increase for a while before going back into a bubble, that's fine, but we need to recognize that these short-term bubbles do exist. They have existed, and if we see one form again, hopefully people can use that to their advantage with the knowledge that these short-term bubbles do exist, but over the macro scale, Link tends to be gaining on Bitcoin. And if you look at it on a log scale, this is my favorite because now you're looking at valuation on a logarithmic scale, and you're looking at time on a logarithmic scale, and you can see we're basically just quickly climbing this ladder. So the other thing we like to talk about is, again, the risk metric of Link against Bitcoin, and just systematically look at where it is in relation to where it has been. And for the last 2 years or so, it hasn't really dipped much below its current level. You can see that the last time it went into the blue region was back in the summer of 2018. That was a long time ago. These recent short-term bubbles, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish, 7-ish. Let's just call this one 7. You could even say that this one's an 8th one, like it came up and then back down before going back up. So let's just say it's 8 of them. Most of them came back to the greenish region, so around a risk level of 0.5 to 0.6 or so. Now this risk metric, it just goes from 0 to 1. When it's closer to 0 or blue, it means historically good time to buy. When it's closer to red, it means historically a good time to sell, which is close to 1. So you can see the reaccumulation phase typically comes around this time, and we're right back in that region. And if you take the risk metric out of it and plot it on the secondary y-axis, you can see that over the last 2 years, this has been our local bottom, right? This has historically been approximately where the local bottom is. We do need to recognize, again, there's no free lunch. There's no guarantee that we're going to come back up at this point. For instance, back in the summer of 2018, we dipped below briefly. If that were to happen, I would simply consider it a greater opportunity than the one we're potentially seeing play out now. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens, recognizing that this historically is the nearing the bottom of the reaccumulation zone. So we'll see what happens. And by the way, I'm going to pull up TradingView and we're going to talk for a bit as well. Before I do that, I will remind you that if you want access to the risk metric, the quantitative version, a risk dashboard, premium alerts, premium videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, and some of the TradingView indicators, then make sure you check out my website, intothecryptoverse.com. But if you want access to the Black Friday deal, then make sure you check out the description below. That'll run for about 1 more week. So get in before it goes away, and you can lock in the lower rate perpetually as long as you don't cancel. Now that we've kind of gone through where Link is in terms of the risk metric, in terms of the exponential fit of the Link Bitcoin valuation, let's just quickly take a look at where we are with respect to USD. So with respect to USD, we are currently at around $12.45. So we're still doing pretty well, though we have come back down from a brief spike up to around $16, $16.50 a few days ago. But be that as it may, we're still in general, right? Generally speaking, we're moving up, right? Generally speaking, we are moving up. And one common thing I see people say is, people can easily get bearish on Link because they have the mentality of, well, what has it done for me recently? And I like to remind them what it has done over the last 3 years. And again, most assets have not climbed that significantly against Bitcoin over the last 3 years. Because if you take a measured move from, say, the bottom and go up to where we currently are, we're up over 5,000%. At the peak, right, against Bitcoin, we were up over 10,000%. So, we have these bubbles, and we just need to get used to them. And you can DCA out of them like I do. When we're up here, you can DCA out of them, or you just take the other approach, right, and you just ride the roller coaster, right? You just ride it, and then one day you'll think about maybe taking profits. But for now, you're just riding the roller coaster, and you're just seeing where it takes you. Now, the reason why, so again, if you look at the measured move below the 20-week, we have been at these levels before, right? We've been at like 30% below it, 40% below it, 25% below it, 20% here. And right now, the 20-week, we are approximately 26% below. And this is the 20-week moving average of the Link Bitcoin ratio. So we have seen this before. In the past, we have turned around, right? It feels like the bad news bears for a long time, and then eventually we turn around. And then once we turn around, everyone gears back up. People start saying, who bought the dip, that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens, but in my opinion, and remember this is not financial advice, but in my opinion, I do think that this is a pretty decent reaccumulation zone of Link against Bitcoin. We're not talking about USD, because if I were accumulating Link with USD, there's something else I like to see happen, which did happen 2 times in the last 2 or 3 months, and we've covered that on the premium list. But again, as I said before, Link is too risky not to hold, in my opinion. Now, if you look at the Bitcoin valuation over the macro scale, if you think about it, Link has gained like 2 orders of magnitude, I guess, from where it currently is, 5,000%. So not really a full 2 orders of magnitude anymore. But if you think about it in terms of where actually, yeah, no, it has gained, because what was it? I'm trying to remember what it was. So it was from all the way down here. So to go to 900%. So 900% would be 1 order of magnitude. And then from there, you can see we're as we said, we're about 5,000% up. So not quite 2 orders of magnitude anymore, because the valuation down here was 0.00001335. So to get to 1 order of magnitude up, that's where we would need to be, approximately. And then to get to another one, we would need to be all the way up at 131,000 sats or so. So somewhere up in this region. But clearly we have retraced a bit. But at some point we were over 2 orders of magnitude. So I say 2 orders of magnitude, but we are not actually 2 orders of magnitude up against Bitcoin right now. We were this past summer. Now, if you look at the Bitcoin valuation over the last 3 years, one thing that you have to keep in mind is that 3 years ago, the price of Bitcoin was around this level that it is today. But the valuation of Link 3 years ago, as we know, was significantly lower. Not even close to being the same as to what it is today. So this doesn't even go back that far because of the graph I'm looking at, but we know that Link has traveled a long way over the last 3 years. Now, if you look at the Bitcoin valuation, Bitcoin has rallied significantly. It's kind of taking a little bit of a hesitation right here. If that hesitation continues, then I do think there's a good chance that Link will gain on Bitcoin, because people might start thinking, okay, the Bitcoin move is over, at least in the short term. It's in a bullish territory, significantly above the 20-week, right? And if it's in bullish water, significantly above the 20-week, and chilling out at, say, 17K, then there's a good chance we might see the continuation of a Link Bitcoin systematic rally. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And remember, we did make a video talking about Link against Ethereum as well. Most coins do not have this track record against Ethereum. And this is one of the reasons why we hold Chainlink, is because it has such a great track record against Ethereum, unlike most altcoins. So again, we'll see if this can turn around. We know that it's turned around against USD already, right? So it's turned around against USD. Against Bitcoin, if you take a look at where it currently is, we speculated that it might be in the process of turning around, and therefore at some point we might also see it turn around against Ethereum and get back above the Link Ethereum 20-week moving average, which, by the way, it has spent a significant amount of its time above. So let me know what you guys think of the content. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, check out the Telegram channel in the description below. And remember, we do have the Black Friday sale for those people who want access to the exclusive content, and you can find a link to that in the description below. That'll wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy the periodic updates on Link and where we are within the grand scheme of the Bitcoin market cycle, and within potentially these sub-cycles of Link against Bitcoin. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.